Hello out there. How are all my brave listeners today? I just want you to know how grateful I am that you come and join me week after week for these beautiful stories. I'm grateful for those of you that take the time to send me an email or a message and let me know that the show is connecting with you. It's making you laugh, smile, think. Sometimes it makes us cry, but in all the right ways, right? So I'm not sure if you know this or not, but I recently put together a Patreon page for the Brave Files podcast. So what is Patreon? Patreon is this really great platform that connects artists and creatives with people who like to support artists and creatives. And honestly, the expenses for producing a show like this are really very high. And I'm very vulnerable and honest with you all right now that in order to keep the show going strong, you need your support to help offset these costs. We want to continue bringing you these beautiful, powerful, inspirational stories week after week, and I need your help to do it. We have so many different tiers. I think there are 7 different tiers starting at $4 a month all the way up to $75 a month. So any amount you're able to give and support would be amazing. We have fantastic swag and some really unique opportunities for our patrons only. So please go head over to patreon.com/bravefiles. That's patreon.com/bravefiles right now. Take a look at the different tiers and please consider becoming a patron. I cannot do this without you, and I am so very, very grateful for your support. Okay, now here's the show.
Experiences, willing, grateful.
You are listening to The Brave Files, real stories from people living courageously. You can listen to the show anywhere you enjoy podcasts, and we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference, and we appreciate it. Now here's your host, Heather Vickery.
Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Heather Vickery here, and you are listening to the Brave Files podcast. Today's guest is doing something I have always dreamed of doing. Matt Javit is currently traveling the world with his wife and one backpack each. Okay, the one backpack thing may be a stretch for me, but Matt left his high-achieving job and an amazing life to realize a dream of traveling the world full time. I have so many questions. I cannot wait to get started. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
I have to know, where in the world are you?
Bangkok, Thailand.
Bangkok, Thailand. Just the sound of that is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you left a life that you love to take advantage of this adventure. Can you just give us a little background about what led to that decision?
Yeah, I guess the last 10 years or so, my wife and I, we've been married for 13 years now, and I was in technology sales, 9 years with that company. And my wife was a clinical pharmacist at a hospital in Indianapolis.
Okay.
We loved our lives.
I was born and raised in Indianapolis.
Very nice. Yeah. It's a wonderful city. And we just happened to get there, each of us on our own direction. But she did her undergrad at IU, and then she got her doctorate at Butler for pharmacy.
Cool.
And I happened to jump around to a few colleges playing basketball. And I coached college hoops in Texas. And then after I got my MBA, I started a little clothing line and came back to Indianapolis to run it with my brother. And I was bartending at night and doing the clothing line into the day. And in walks this girl. And 8 months later, we're engaged.
Wow.
8 months after that, we're married. And
you don't mess around, man.
Yeah, no, I knew, because I was at the age in my life where I just knew, I was like, okay, I'm done. I knew that she was a catch. I knew that I had to get her off the market quickly or that I would have no shot. And so I was just like, instead of dating for a long time, let's just get married. And she was into it. And maybe I convinced her. But the cool part was, looking back now, I must have been right in some way. But her dad was like, hey, you can't be a bartender anymore because I grew up in a family of bar. My dad owned a bar. And so then I had to get a real job. And then, so that took me to the mortgage industry until the collapse. And then I got into technology. Then at that point, Nikki graduated with her doctorate and we were on our paths. And so through that phase of our life where we were both working really hard, a lot of long hours, paying down her student debt or our student debt with the doctorate and just getting life in order, living minimally, but having big goals. We worked through it and figured it out. And through that time, I had a chance to achieve some sales incentive plans at my job that took us to different parts of the world because I worked for an international company.
Right.
And at the end of the year, we would celebrate in places like Goa, India, and Chiang Mai, Thailand, and Istanbul, Turkey. So we get to fly to these amazing places. And Nikki came.
And that was through work.
Yeah, through work. Yeah.
I think I know where you worked, but I won't say anything. You clearly don't want to share it, which is totally fine. But I know that big company in Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, I ended up leaving, and it was I left in a great way. It was one of those things where when we left the right way. We weren't running from anything; we were running to something. And so through those travels, it exposed me to international travel, and it created this passion. I just loved it. And we'd fly home, and I would always be looking at the back of the magazine, like, okay, where's next? Yeah. And after we got that exposure. We started traveling on our vacations for the 2 weeks a year to places like Brazil and Argentina and Panama, the country, and Croatia and Greece. And so then it just opened up, and I was just like, man, then we started dreaming, like, what if we could do this long term? What if this could become a reality? And we worked really hard to make it happen. And we finally took the jump, the leap of faith. And there's a lot of risk involved, but we decided that the window was there and it made sense. And we did it.
That is super cool. Did people think you were nuts?
Absolutely. There was most people understood the idea, but they didn't really, they were like, wow, that's crazy. Can't believe you're doing it. Because at the time as well, so I'm 42 now. So I was just about to be 40. And it was one of those things where I was at the top of my sales earning, Nikki as well. She's killing it, her job. So we worked really hard to put ourselves in this position where you're maximizing at that point, what you've worked really hard for. But at the same time, we're like, okay, you only get certain windows in life where you can walk away and then maybe we can come back, you know what I mean? And still, I could still have value in the market and be able to get a job, again, when we come back.
Would it be hard for you to go back to like a regular job after this?
It's becoming more and more difficult to think about that.
Yeah, I
because
imagine.
But at the same time, I think that we're both pretty resourceful and we can figure out ways to do it. But I'm not sure. And we're working on some creative things to open up maybe some new doors for us. But yeah, it's no option is not still on the table. Yeah.
So how are you supporting yourself out there?
Savings.
Wow.
It's all savings. So we saved up. We knew a number that we wanted to save to, and we got there. And we're living off savings. So when we go back, we'll have to not start over, but we'll be starting in a different place where we left.
Wow. So talk to me about you. Talk to me about packing your one backpack. First of all, what'd you do with all your stuff? Did you sell everything? Put it in storage?
No, so we've got a condo. Like I said, we live minimally in Indianapolis, and the cost of living in Indianapolis is very low. So we got a small condo there that we kept. We had an aunt that lived in it throughout the summer that spends times in Florida. We were not allowed to Airbnb it or anything.
Bummer. I was just going to say, are you putting it on Airbnb?
Wish.
Bummer.
Oh, I wish. That'd be amazing. But we can't because of our homeowners association. But But yeah, so it's there waiting for us, which is nice to know that we have a place to go home to once we come off the road.
For sure.
But yeah, but we don't have a lot of stuff anyway, but we did get rid of certain clothes that we knew we weren't going to wear when we come back, and we sold our cars. Yeah, so we don't have that much back home, and living out of a backpack now for 19 months, it's we don't even think you don't even need it. Like, we get excited. I bought T-shirts today at the mall here, and they're all like $5 a piece, and it just felt good to buy because we have no reason to buy anything anymore,
right?
But which is nice because you get all that kind of that ingrained stuff as Americans that we need to buy stuff regularly.
It's
and
so
we
funny
kind of broke ourselves.
Because I think when I travel, I love mementos. I love a trinket or a shirt or something that when I look at it, it takes me back to that place. Have you done none of that? Or so here's me thinking I would buy it and send it home. Let my parents store it for me.
Yeah, we haven't done. That's the one thing Nikki talks about. It. We wish we could do that, but the sending home stuff is so brutal. I just
Sure.
bought a wedding gift for my buddy back home, and I sent it from Osaka, Japan, and he still hasn't gotten it over 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
So, and we've sent some stuff back to our nephews and nieces, and it just takes forever, and sometimes it doesn't get there. So no, we haven't had a chance to do that, but we've done creative things. There's this really cool app called Groovebook that we've used to send photos every month.
Oh, fun.
It's a monthly subscription where you can put 100 photos into this app, and then it sends a cute little book. So our nephews and nieces get to see that as well as our families. That. Yeah.
And
so
then you'll get to have
postcards,
those when you come back.
Yeah. So then we get to go back. We'll have
that's cool.
26 months of different books. Yeah.
Are you taking those photos on your phone?
Yeah. Everything's on the phone. We have no high powered equipment or anything.
That's really neat. So what was it like packing that backpack and jumping on a plane? Where was the first place you went?
So we started in, so everything is based on the sun and making sure that we're in warm weather. So that because we both, we love beachy warm weather, and then we also love the idea that packing only summer clothes was a big thing because we couldn't bring a lot of winter clothes.
Yeah.
So we started in South America because we left in February. Started in South America for 3.5 months, and then we did. So Santiago, Chile was the first stop. And then we did kind of the west coast of South America. Then we did Southern Europe for about 4 months, India for 2 months, Vietnam for a month, South Africa for 3 months. Wow. And then we came back to Thailand for a couple of weeks, another couple of weeks in Vietnam, Hong Kong for a couple of weeks. Then we spent the summer again in Europe, and then Japan for 6 weeks. And we just left Japan, and now we're back in Thailand.
Wow. And so you mentioned before that you're 19 months in, and then I heard you say we'll have 26 months worth of books. So you have you have an end date for this adventure.
Yeah. So we're going back to the U.S. in May. And at that point, currently we plan to adventure around the U.S., spend some time at home in Indianapolis and home in Chicago, and then go see friends and family in different parts of the U.S. and likely go back out again until the following May, and then hopefully it'll be out of our system by then, of May 2020. That's
money is on. It will not ever be out of your system. That's where my money is.
Yeah, that's likely the case. But that's the current budget and timing plan of it all is May 2020.
So you heard it here first. My guess is you're going to figure out a way to make money while you're doing all this traveling and just stay at it. But we'll see. You have to stay in touch. You guys, of course, we can all follow Matt's adventures, right? You're documenting all of this. You're on Instagram and.
Yeah, and we've got a blog and we've got a podcast, and I just started a web series on called World Barbershop Adventures, which is a lot of fun, where we're showcasing my time in barber chairs in different unique places around the world. Yeah, and it's been awesome, and the response it's been out only for a short time now. The response has been really cool. So my buddies back home and a lot of barbers from around the world are hitting me up saying, "Man, this is a great idea." So hopefully,
can you pitch this
that can
to
take off in a way. And it's just been a fun way to document.
Pitch it to some sort of major TV station. I feel like cable TV station. Like this is something people would watch on Sunday mornings, right? They have their coffee and they're just turn it on, watch your barbershop. I think it's going to happen. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping. My buddy, he called me last night from Milwaukee, and I haven't talked to him in over probably a year and a half. He's like, "Matt, dude, you're going to be the Anthony Bourdain of barbershops." I
swear to God, that was the thought I was just having. I was like, without the suicide. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, that's what I was going for, man. That's what I was hoping to convey. So it's nice when you have an idea and people see it exactly as you're trying to show it.
Totally.
So it's really encouraging. Yeah.
I love it. So that is exactly like you said it as it was about to come out of my mouth. Anthony Bourdain of barbershops. Nice. I love that. What's been your favorite place to visit so far?
We have a love for Vietnam.
Interesting.
The people, the culture, it's authentic, but it's really cheap, great beaches. It's like a scooter life. It's almost like an island scooter life, but you have everything at your fingertips that you like. And the people are really warm and welcoming.
That sounds amazing. I'll have to put that on my list. I love, love, love to travel. And for your average American, I've done quite a bit of it. For you and Nikki, I have not done quite a bit of it. But I'm curious. So you tell me about your podcast and how, I mean, you should see me right now, all of you. One day I'll do a behind the scenes thing. I have this office. So I have my makeshift studio. I do have a really cool mic set that my own coach sent to me, which I'm grateful for. But how in the world do you do a podcast with one backpack and no major equipment?
I packed a microphone before I left. So it was always a goal of mine to do a podcast, but it took me a year to get the courage to do it. So we just packed the one microphone, and then we both have laptops, but we use my laptop we just use Audacity, the free software Audacity, and use the microphone. And I actually have a production team that I found on Upwork. So we do all the content and the files, and then I push it to the cloud, and those guys grab it and kind of beautify it a little bit. And then they do the end production and put it on Libsyn, if you're familiar with Libsyn, and they do all that.
Yep,
they do all the final editing, and I build all the show notes, I build all that stuff, and then I integrate it with our blog site. But those guys help a lot, and they're really good at making sure everything's smooth.
And so I have a team that does the same thing. I just couldn't do it without, but it's not cheap to do that. So that's just something that you felt was important to put money into, even though you're living off of savings and working on a budget.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where I've always invested in myself in my career, as has Nikki. Obviously, education is big to us, and just constant building of skills is important. And I see podcasting as another skill that we're building while we're on the road. So when we come off the road and we're looking for that next phase of our lives, and we're going to walk away with this, not only from about the experiences and all the stuff that we're learning and all the great people that we're meeting along the way and the resourcefulness that we're building, understanding everything that comes along with this travel, but we're also building skills like all the information content we're building online as far as writing goes.
For sure.
Nikki's working on a book. I'm writing a screenplay. We're doing the video documentation. So we're learning all these new skills. And I just felt like everything that we're doing, it's an investment. Absolutely. Like you're describing. It's an investment, but the payoff is maybe not coming right now, but the payoff's going to come, whether the payoff means that we're going to get enough of a follower base that we can monetize what we're doing, or the payoff is going to be the fact that we can then turn these new talents into skills in the market, whether it's going back to our old jobs where we're better at our old jobs than we were, or it finds us in a new category that we can make some extra cash at. So it's all part of it, and you just got to have faith in it a little bit and find, I don't know, it's fun. You know what I mean?
It is fun.
And having a chance to document it. I mean,
absolutely
we're in such a unique time in the world where we can document so much, and then have a chance to look back and kind of relive our experiences. Nikki and I are 7 years old, hanging out at our house, and we're going to be able to relive all these trips that we went on because we put it on audio while we did it, and now we're putting it on video as well.
I love
with the series. So it's really cool.
And what I really value that you shared with us is this idea that you're constantly learning. I'm all about delegation, right? You couldn't do this to the quality and caliber you want to if you were trying to edit yourself and publish it yourself and do all of that. And that it is something that could potentially be marketable for you. I love the ability to creatively look at what the things are around you and what interests you and find a way to make that work rather than feeling stuck and like you have to work with what you've got.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, especially today, if you can just make use of the technologies that are out there, and not be afraid to delegate some of that stuff out, especially with, like you described it, we've had horrible Wi-Fi situations where it would be impossible.
I wasn't sure how we would sound today. So
yeah. And there's been situations where it just doesn't work. So for us, all we need is a connection to be able to upload our content to the cloud so other people can grab it and make their do with it. But
cool.
But yeah, it can be challenging at times, but that's kind of the fun of working around it too. And I tell you, that's one of those things that, it makes you feel really good. We've done 32 straight weeks now, 32 straight weeks of a podcast out of a backpack on the road in crazy locations around the world. And it makes you feel really good. And now that we're doing the content of the YouTube channel and stuff like that as well, it just made accomplishing goals when it's easy is still good, and it's fun to celebrate those, but really overcoming challenges when it's difficult, knowing that it'd be so easy to say, oh, we're just going to skip this week.
Yeah.
But to continuously do it, to be able to share our stories is fun.
Yeah.
And we've got the feedback we've gotten has been great too.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's a Passport Joy Travel Talk.
Cool.
So
I can't wait to
everything we
listen.
got is passportjoy.com, and our podcast is the same. But yeah, it's been neat to be able to do that and then have friends or really strangers reach out and say, hey, I've decided to do this. I have a buddy he's like, Matt, I've planned, I'm leaving in April. First stop is Argentina. And it's not like I'm asking people to leave their jobs and their lives, but when somebody reaches out and they're excited and they're scared and they're like, I think I can do this, but you guys have helped show that I can. Yeah. It's really neat to see people taking big leaps of faith, and not just travel, but other things as well, whether it's a job, but we've gotten a lot of encouraging notes along the way. It's been cool.
That's gotta be extra awesome. Does it feel brave to you to like take this big leap and then to put yourself out there for other people, whether or not there's a risk involved? Does it feel brave?
Absolutely. So leaving felt really brave. The idea that we left when we did, and we weren't running from something, we were running to something. It felt really good. And it was absolutely one of those things where if we didn't do it, we had been talking about what if forever. And it felt really good to step on that first plane and arrive in Santiago. And it was amazing. And then I tell you, this process of content creation and putting your thoughts on a blog and a podcast, on a YouTube, and really waiting for reaction from other people is extreme. So I've been in sales my whole life, but it's typically like bigger business sales type thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When you're waiting on feedback from individuals, it is, man, it's
nail biting, isn't it?
It is so great.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, I've got a newfound appreciation for the creative space, because just to put yourself out there on a regular basis and just hope that people like it is, it's tough. It really is, and it can be discouraging. It can be extremely discouraging. Yeah. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, I think that the goodness will come through in the end.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, is to balance. What are people going to think? Are they going to like it? With it doesn't matter what they think. And if they like it, this is something I want to do for me.
Absolutely.
And anytime we do something authentically and deeply from our souls, I think it connects with people so much more. That's what makes people like it. They know you mean it. They know you're excited and you feel it, and that energy comes through. I think it's awesome. I love it. Here's what I want to know. What's the first thing you do when you get to a new city?
We typically, so Nikki's vegan. Okay. So we'll try to kind of spot out good opportunistic restaurants, or find out where the grocery store is so we can get that situation in order. And then understand really just the vibe of the city, because we usually do a lot of upfront research to know our neighborhood. And then once we get all of our stuff situated, so our very, very first thing is when we check in, get in our accommodation, whether it's an Airbnb.
I was just going to say, are you staying in hotels or homes or?
Mostly Airbnbs. Okay. And it's probably a 70-30 split of by ourselves, or if it's a cheaper part of the world, our basic budget for accommodation is around $40.
Wow.
So places like Bangkok, $40 a night. So Bangkok, you can get a great place. We're in a great place right now for less than $40. But other parts of the world, when we were in Europe, obviously, we had to stay with people.
Youth hostels.
No, we did a few of those, and those aren't really for us.
I can't blame you. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. We did some workaways. Yeah.
My partner backpacked Europe for 6 weeks, 6 months. 6 weeks? No, 6 weeks. I'm like losing my mind. Right after college. So that's a long time ago. And she did youth hostels. There's no way. No way I could do that.
Yeah, we've had our share of hanging out with 20-year-olds because they do tend to travel more than 42-year-olds.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's a cool energy. You do get a ton of energy and you get to hear their stories and they party hard and stuff like that. So we've stayed in a few hostels, and some of it is just dire. Like it's the only good spot you can find in a town, but it is totally different. And we've done workaways where we volunteer our services for free stay as well. And those tend to be a lot of early to mid 20-year-olds. So those are fun.
That. Tell me more about that. What is that?
Yeah. So workaway.info is a website you can go to find ways to give your skills. And it's a wide range of skills. It could be like teaching English, watching kids. We tend to we've done 4 where we've helped at bed and breakfast type situations.
Okay.
So we did it in Chile, Ecuador, a month in Greece, and a month in South Africa, where we did cleaned rooms, cleaned toilets, help guests get checked in, all the things you have to do for anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day. And then the rest of the time you hang out with the other people there and you get to go see the town and you get a quick entry into the city that you're in because you know context right away. So it's really neat. And we've also done another cool website is called Trusted House Sitters, where this is really actually growing in popularity, where you have a chance to watch people's pets in exchange for free housing. Yeah. So we were in Zurich, Switzerland for 3 weeks watching 2 cats in the best place that we've stayed at so far. It was a gorgeous home, 2 bed, 2 bath, massive house near the mountains. It was gorgeous on Lake Zurich. And we could not have afforded Zurich. Zurich is extremely expensive.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Crazy. So we had a chance to experience Zurich by watching cats.
That's cool.
And it's cool too. Yeah, it's cool too if you have
You don't have
cats.
to do anything with cats. You just have to feed them and change their litter.
Yeah, it's super easy. And so when Nikki and I were, so we've been pet owners for most of our marriage. We lost 2 dogs within the last 3 years before we left. Yeah, one was 15, one was 14. So we've always had dogs. We love it. And when we would go on vacation, we'd have to pay friends to come to our home and watch it. So you spend a lot of money. So the website's cool like that too, where you can use it to leverage people to watch your pets as well. So you don't have to pay that money when you go away. So we really like that website, Trusted House Sitters. So check that out as well. Yeah,
I love that. What's been the most difficult thing as you travel the world?
Probably, obviously, 19 months on the road. I miss my buddies probably the most, my brother in particular. Just that time away from bonding with kind of that brotherhood thing. I've got a buddy that's coming to Bangkok in a couple of days. I cannot wait. We're going to spend time with him and his wife for 10 days. Those are the things that I miss is kind of that bonding time, talking sports with my buddies, hanging out, drinking bourbons with them. And I came from an environment where as a sales executive, I worked in teams a lot selling big deals. So kind of that camaraderie that comes with that. And now it's Nikki and I living on a backpack in accommodations. We do get a chance to interact. I've used things like meetup.com to meet people and talk business and things like that. And we've got involved in different charities and stuff around the world as we travel. So we had a chance to integrate with people, but it's not as easy as you would think, especially as a couple. You're not as approachable as a single traveler a lot of times. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I have a lot better shot of meeting people if I'm out by myself walking around or I'm at a gym alone. It's weird. It's this weird human dynamic where if you're by yourself, people will come and say hello. But if it's my wife and obviously people will approach us as well if we make eye contact when we're together. But when you're alone, it's odd. And I'm a big guy too. Like I'm 6'6" and I stick out wherever we go. And I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. But that's why we podcast. Yeah, absolutely. But it's been really weird to see that dynamic where these young backpackers meet a lot of people often, but as an older married couple, we don't have that. We don't have as many interactions that I thought that we would before we set out.
Interesting. Do you get involved in the communities? Do you support the communities or stay active in them?
We attempt to stay local when we're there. We shy away from bigger chain restaurants. So we'll try to eat at the places that are close to us. And if you can frequent a restaurant 2 or 3 times in a stay, it helps you create a relationship quickly. Because usually on the first time, they'll treat you like a customer. When they see your face again, they'll be more open. And if you're there a third time, then they'll really start to talk to you. So we try to find a spot that we like, and then I work out as we travel. So I'll go to gyms and hopefully make contacts there and talk to people. And then we've given back as well, whether it be orphanages or just different contacts that we make that we can donate a little bit of time and give back any way we can. So cool. We do try to get involved. And then like the Airbnb, the shared living space is great as well. So if you have a host that's there and you can ask them questions and then they can take you out and show you some things, those are kind of instant contacts.
We've done, Airbnb in the US. I know a bunch of people who have done it overseas. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. But I love the ones where they have, books of things to see and their favorite spots to go to and all of that. So I think some of the Airbnb hosts can really do an amazing job with that. Yeah.
If they decide that they're treating it like helping travelers, it can be an amazing experience. Absolutely. But it's a big business as well. And we've seen both sides.
Okay, so I have to ask, I love my partner and I love spending time with her and I love traveling with her, but I also really like my solitude and my space. I am not sure I could be on the road for 19 or 26 months alone with one person. How do you and your wife keep it all together?
Yeah, it is. I guess we knew we could do it before we left. So the people that are looking at this and they've been married or they're dating or they don't know their partner as well as they need to know your partner before you travel. Because traveling it puts your relationship at the highest level because like you're describing. So we've had a chance to interact with a lot of couples during our travel, and you can just tell that they're in a phase of the vacation where they've had it and they need to go back to their lives because they are no longer having fun. Oh, it is. I think a high percentage of people are like that. But we knew that this was going to be a lifestyle, and we knew that we had to be able to balance our time together. But we also knew that we did this really well together, and we enjoy the time together. So it's been an amazing journey to be able to see all the things that we've seen together, Machu Picchu, the Galapagos Islands, Taj Mahal, and all the things and all the people that we've met along the way that are friends. But it does get challenging at times. And when you do have those arguments that could linger, you understand that you don't want it to linger. Like you need to talk through it, because if you don't talk through it and you have to linger 2 or 3 days in an argumentative environment, it is not fun.
I get that. We had a guest on several months ago who she and her family sold their house and bought an RV, and so they've got 5 kids. So the 7 of them in an RV. And that was what she's like, we used to be able to tell the kids, go to separate rooms, don't talk to each other. And now we're like, okay, sit down and figure this out, because we all have to live in this tiny space together.
It's important to be able to work through those things quickly. And then just understand the signs. Like, I need a little bit of space, or I'll go on long walks, you'll read books, because we're both working on creative things. Then we can get deeply involved in the things that we're working on.
I'll bet that helps a lot.
It does. It really does. If we were just jumping around the world and drinking margaritas on beaches and stuff, it would get old pretty quick. But the fact that we're staying so involved in some of the passion projects we're doing, we're busy enough that when we do go out and go discover the cities that we're in, it's a lot of fun to check out the new stuff.
That's very cool. What's been the biggest happy surprise? I'm sure there have a million wonderful things that have happened, but what's one thing that you're like, I didn't expect that, and that's awesome?
Well, it's probably because it's super fresh. Japan was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how amazing that country is. And the fact that they are so polite and kind and thoughtful and clean, and it's a country the size of California, but it's got a third of the size of population of the US. It's amazing how much tradition they keep, but they're so advanced. I knew that Japan was high on my list before we hit the road, but after leaving there, I felt like, man, that it was encouraging to see mankind at its highest level almost.
That's awesome.
Just their level of thoughtful, to be on a subway with, I don't know how much a particular car would hold, but it probably hold about 100 people when it was packed in there when we would jump on a subway at like 5 p.m. And it was just so quiet. It was quiet because everybody was thoughtful of each other. And it's kind of one of those things where a lot of people sleep on the subways because they work really hard, and nobody, they are all considerate of each other. And that be able to have that many people in society that are all on the same page because they're that thoughtful was a really great experience to see. And
very cool.
So Japan has definitely been a highlight for me.
That's so great. I love that. So as you're traveling and you're experiencing these wonderful things and you're really pushing yourself creatively and learning and doing new things, how do you stop and honor and celebrate? And you had alluded to celebration earlier, but I didn't want to go quite down that path yet. How do you celebrate those successes and honor them and have them help motivate you to keep going?
Yeah. So whenever we do a podcast on a weekly basis, I think it's a big deal. I really feel like I was describing the fact that it's easy to push off. Yeah. We've got every excuse not to do it. So whenever we do one, we'll basically just tell each other like, great job, and kind of high five and celebrate the fact that we did it again for another week and move on. And then with the release of the new docuseries I was talking about with World Barbershop Adventures, we absolutely celebrated that and had a lot of fun with that. Actually, I had a buddy of mine sent me a bottle of Four Roses bourbon from America, and it happened to get to Japan, and it happened to get there. It got stuck in customs, and I was like, I had no idea what it was. He just said, "Hey, I'm sending you something." So when I opened it up, I was like, "Oh my God!" First of all, I was surprised it got there. Then once it got there, I was like, "I can't believe these guys in customs didn't drink this." But yeah, I had a bottle of Four Roses, so that was nice to be able to crack that thing and open it up and celebrate the release of the YouTube series. And because my wife's a big part of that too, because she's helping with the camera work and just the creative process to throw ideas off of her. So yeah, we celebrated in that way with that.
That's great. I love it. I love everything you're doing. I love that you've taken this risk. I mean, there's a risk with everything, this adventure. So I am excited. You have a whole new fan. I'm going to follow all this stuff. You're totally going to have your own TV series. I'm ready for it. I know it's happening.
Thank you.
But we do unfortunately have to wrap this show. And so I get to ask a question that I feel very passionate about and I think is so very important. What is your favorite charitable organization to support?
For us as well, giving back is huge. So I used to donate a lot of time with a community on the near west side of Indianapolis. I spent over 10 years with a group there. And I spent my time with one young kid. His name's Anthony, and I'm still close with him as we travel. And we also give back to type 1 diabetes a bunch because it's an important thing for our family. But I'd like to highlight the Sports Academy in George, South Africa. And they help youth find a better way for education through sports. And in this case, for the boys, it's soccer. For the girls, it's netball, which is a form of basketball. It's a different kind of sport, but they help these kids get out of the townships. So the townships are essentially the ghettos that we'd be familiar with in America, but they're the ghettos of South Africa. And this group goes into these townships, and these kids have to try out for the teams. And then once they get on the team, they put them through these education programs and help them get better at soccer. And I had a chance to interact with them for a month in George, and I've since also created a conversation with them about their cause. And I was extremely impressed by the leadership of the group and what they're helping these kids do by becoming leaders in their own communities. They're building other leaders and giving the kids in the community something to look up to with these high caliber athletes that are doing good things. So I grew up through sports. I played basketball in college. Sports was pivotal in my life. So to see a group that has every reason to have every excuse in the world in these deep ghettos of South Africa, find a way to break out and become leaders and through education, find a path in life. I was moved by that organization. So I would love to be able to share that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So we will have details up on the show notes, but you guys go check them out. Find their website. If they have a Facebook page, if you have something to give it. If not, just tell other people about it. Spread the word. That's how we're making this very large world one that's more connected with everyone else. So Matt, can you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Experiences, willing, grateful.
Excellent words. I love them. Your experiences are extraordinary. I think they're touching a lot of people and connecting. And I dig it. Willingness, all of it. It makes sense to me. They're fantastic words. I so admire, well, it's funny. I'd pre-written this last little bit here and I didn't know your words when I picked it, but I so admire your willingness to listen to your soul and to do what it's telling you to do. As someone who loves to travel, I deeply believe that if more people traveled, we would have a more heartfelt and understanding world. It connects us in a really unique way. I'm inspired by everything that you're doing, Matt. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. And as always, I'm grateful that you're on this journey with us. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. And be sure to check out Matt's show as well. Again, links will be in our show notes. This is Heather Vickery reminding you, as always, to choose bravely. Today's show was brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/thebravefiles and browse their unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title of your choice for free and start listening. It's that simple. Just head to audiotrial.com/thebravefiles.
Thank you for listening to The Brave Files. Be sure to visit thebravefilespodcast.com to access the show notes and discover fantastic bonus content. Music composed and produced by Matt Lewis of Union Music, LLC.